We have been hearing that knife and drug crime has contributed to the emasculation of British policing in Britain. This is according to former police chiefs.
County lines networks, which use vulnerable people to sell drugs, have been highlighted as a major issue. New research suggests that primary school children in England and Wales are being specifically targeted by gangs.
Bringing some information from the charity The Children's Society, it has found that the youngest child was aged 7 and had been involved in activities including couriering drugs. It also found that the number of 10 to 17-year-olds who were arrested outside London for intent to supply drugs has risen by almost half, and it says this is a key sign of exploitation through county lines.
And the number of children being trafficked to sell drugs in areas away from their homes has risen from 69, that was in 2016, to 132 in 2018.
Well, with us now is Lucy Dacey from the Children's Society and Corey Johnson, a music producer who works with vulnerable young people in London. Good morning to you both. Lucy, just explain to me, when this research was undertaken, what were you expecting to find?
Well, we were expecting to find a rise in county lines because we know that the police and social services are getting better at identifying these young people.
Can we just explain? I know we try to explain it, but county lines, it's not a phrase that everyone will be familiar with.
No, not at all. So it's where young people are groomed and forced to sell and traffic drugs around the UK. And when we say that, we kind of lose, I think, a little bit of a sight of the vulnerability and what actually happens to these children. So these are children that are sometimes forced to carry drugs inside their own bodies, forced to go missing for weeks on end and be in really squalid conditions. And the trauma that these young people experience is absolutely massive. But what sometimes happens, unfortunately, is they're picked up and dealt with as a drug dealer rather than recognised as a victim of modern slavery, which is what they are.
Corey, I mean, your experience is invaluable in this situation because you're now a successful music producer, but you were a gang member in the past. We're hearing about children of 7 or 8 years old who are involved in this. Does that chime with some of the things you saw previously?
Just saw and still seeing now. This is a problem that's continuous within our communities, and it's no longer just a problem within the urban or the black community. This is a problem across the UK. This is the poor communities that, through the lack of support services that their parents have, they're not able now to even have some of their basic needs met.
What's your experience?
My experience is that I've been one of those vulnerable young people that was then with the elders who wanted to be cool with the gang, and then gone from being what would then be classed as the victim to being the aggressor.
How old were you when that began?
I think really my first I was really straight, really good kid until my teens, and then life really changed once my sister was born. I had the opportunity to get a little bit more freedom. And then from there, say 14, 15, I just went from one scale to the next.
Work? So you're 14 years old, you're at school, you're a good kid. Then what happens?
I think now for most young people, it's a mixture of the peer pressure, which is then social media. I think there's a balance that a lot of them are desensitized by even like the computer games that they play, a lot what they see within movies and films. And then it only takes you to have a little bit of attention to feel like, somebody cares or they can offer you an opportunity. And now it's an opportunity to make money because most young people just want to make money and not money just for these extravagant things that people kind of seem to then idolise. But really, these are young people who want money just for food or just for basics and stuff that they shouldn't be thinking about.
Give us a sense, Corey, of what the turning point for you was. Because one of the important things about highlighting the problem to try and work out how you reach some of those youngsters who might have been as you were then. What was the turning point for you?
Finding something that I was interested in and passionate about. Because young people will get up every day, or anyone, for something that you enjoy doing. Not all young people are into music or media, as people like to suggest, so don't throw them all into music. But at the moment, there's not enough of the services that are already working being replicated and rolled out. So at the moment, it's a balance between there's a call for action and people want to see a solution, but the solutions are already there. The organisations that are doing the grassroots and the real work are already there. So the time is then to have an action. So as an organisation, I've put together a plan with a really strong team, and we're calling on a knife amnesty and asking the police and the mayor to join us in the efforts that we're doing as a community, because these are community problems that have community solutions.
Lucy, it's interesting. One of the points that Corey made was it's not just poor black kids that are struggling now or that are being targeted. This is community-wide, this is country-wide as well. It's not even just the main cities as well, rural areas as well. What are you seeing?
Yeah, absolutely that children anywhere are targeted. As you talked about, it's people that don't have a sense of belonging, people that feel like actually they're groomed and the groomers make them feel like they care about them and they love them and there's someone that actually is there for them. And that can happen to anyone from any community.
So how can that initial relationship, how can that be broken or, you know, prevented from even being established?
I think that's why early education for parents and carers and teachers is so critical. So we talk about some of the warning signs that a child might be getting involved in child criminal exploitation to try and disrupt that. So that's things like them having unexplained gifts, their behaviour changing, getting more mobile phones, using language that they shouldn't actually know. You should be like, well, why does my child know that term? Where have they heard that term before? And actually then it's about them being really encouraged to go forward to social services and ask for support.
It's a really interesting point. And you're not here to talk about politics, but it is inescapable to... We've got a race to be Prime Minister at the moment, and in amongst many of the promises, we've got promises about police numbers, for example. We are discussing this morning the issues around knife crime. There's people concerned that it's lawlessness. I mean, how do you square... Where is the place of policing in this, as opposed to social care, which many people is so ignored? How do you see that?
So I think police are unfortunately often the first people that pick up these children, so they might be arrested for a crime, but actually there's lots of warning signs before that. So we see children being excluded from school, children with a learning disability, children going missing. And actually police numbers play a factor, but the local government associations say that there's a £3 billion black hole in children's services.
So you're nodding, by the point at which a youngster is with the police, comes to the attention of the police, presumably a lot of damage has already been done.
Yeah, the damage has been done. It's not irreversible at that stage, but then the preventative measures are not taken. It's almost as if as soon as you've then made one mistake and then that's you for life. And I think that demonisation of young people who, it doesn't excuse their behaviour, but sometimes who have then maybe found themselves in an unfortunate situation, once you've made that one mistake, it seems almost as if you can't turn back or turn away. And I think that the problem with the community and the police is that the police need to be trained. You have a problem where the police are policing a community that they don't understand. So when you've got police officers coming from Middle England to these urban or rural areas, working with any nationality within different communities, their body languages, their slang, their facial expressions, they don't understand it. So automatically, the police who are then in this situation, they're unaware of how to even work with or deal with these communities because they're not at the primary schools like they used to be. They used to have like police discos for these young kids. They used to have a presence in the community when it wasn't harassment, it was...
Again, comes back to funding.
It's a balance of funding, but where's the funding being allocated? There's £3 million to investigate a murder from start to finish, but I couldn't think of an organisation that's had £3 million put towards the great grassroots work that they do.
We will undoubtedly do more on the subjects, of course, in the future. Good to see you both here this morning.
Thank you.
Corey, Lucy, thank you.